you know what is friction? Friction is a contact force that occurs when two bodies are in contact with each other, and this force slows a moving object down. Just in our example, where you can see the force of friction is slowing down the movement of this book and finally stopping it after a short distance. Now, did you know that friction wears out things? No? Let's see how. Well, whenever we write with a pencil on a paper, you will notice that after writing few pages, the pencil becomes blunt. Now, there is some frictional force present between the lead of this pencil and the paper, which helps us to write. Now, this friction actually wears out this pencil. That is why the pencil becomes blunt and we have to sharpen it every now and then. Well, similarly, when we erase something which we have written on the paper, there is some frictional force acting between the eraser and the paper that makes eraser to wear out. You can see that the eraser creates dust and after some time the eraser gets smaller gradually. Not only these, but the tires of a vehicle get worn out due to friction. Now these tires also get worn out gradually due to friction. Now you will see a video where an oil is used to decrease friction. Let's see what. Here Castrol Active is used and the machine is working very smoothly. Now because of the oil, the parts of this machinery get smoothened and they work very nicely without the roughness between the parts of the machinery. Now this is what happens. When there is no oil, you can see how roughly two things are rubbing against each other. But when we apply a layer of oil, now see how smoothly they are rubbing against each other. Now why does this happen? Here the force of friction is very much, which causes these two to rub against each other very roughly. And that is why machineries or let's take the example of that scooty, does not work very nicely. But when we apply a layer of oil between these two surfaces like this, oil grease, then what happens? It creates a layer between these two surfaces and these two surfaces do not rub against each other directly. They have a layer between them. So they are actually not rubbing against each other directly. Because of this layer, it is going very smoothly on this. That is why we can say that oiling or greasing can reduce friction to a great extent. Now this oil or grease that we are using is actually called lubricants. Now what are lubricants? The substances which reduce friction are called lubricants, such as oil or grease. Now this is why the fine powder that we used while playing carom reduces friction between the strikers, tokens and the board that allows the striker to move very smoothly on the board. So this fine powder is also acting as a lubricant to reduce friction between the surfaces. Now have you ever wondered why these trolley bags have rollers on one end? Now apply this concept of friction. We see that if rollers are not present on these trolley bags, what will happen? We have to slide these bags on the surface, that is on the road maybe. So the surface of this bag and the surface of the road, they are not even, so it will move very roughly and we'll face difficulties. But then if we provide rollers on them, the rollers are very smooth and they'll slide on the floor with comparatively lesser difficulty than if the roller was not present. That is why these trolley bags have rollers which allow us to carry these bags with less friction on the road. That is why we feel it very easy when we travel with these trolley bags with rollers. Now this is also the reason why ball bearings are used to roll instead of sliding in bicycles. Here these ball bearings are used so that friction is less while rolling. Now you know we can increase and decrease friction according to our needs. Well, there are methods to increase friction. Let's see what methods. Now why will we want to increase friction? Well, in tires we need friction because we need the car to stop very safely. So to apply brakes easily, we increase friction by grooves on tires. Well, these grooves on the tires actually help increasing friction so that we can apply brakes very easily. Now these grooves, they increase frictional force between the road and the tires. That is why we can apply brakes easily. Now that is why spikes are used in the shoes of footballers so that they do not fall down on the field. This spikes actually increases friction, and because of that these players, they do not fall down and can play on the field with the shoes. So spikes increase friction between the surface and the shoes. That is why they do not fall easily. So to increase friction between the shoes and the field, what do? We provide them with these spikes. So what did we learn? We learned that friction can be reduced or increased according to our needs.